Daddy's busy, buddy. Why don't you go outside and play? Hello, everybody, and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie Esther here. And a few days ago, I told you that the Dead by Daylight devs sat down and had a Q&A on the Five Nights at Freddy's official Discord channel, where they answered some questions from the community. And while this wasn't recorded, this fellow here, Sklarlight Adam, he wound up making a transcription from memory. So we're going to go through and read what his account was of the questions that were asked and answered on that Discord Q&A. All right, so here's Adam's post. He's Sklarlight, and as far as I know, in charge of that Five Nights at Freddy's Discord. So we're going to go ahead and read through all of his memories regarding that session. Hi, guys. Unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, the Q&A wasn't recorded. Something I'm genuinely gutted about, since we all had a great time, and I've done my best to put together a summary of what was covered from beginning to end, including a few clarification and corrections to any confusion or misinformation. Again, this is all from memory, so some things may have been left out. I've also opted to leave out anything that I'm not 100% sure of, as I wouldn't want to contribute to misinformation. All right. The interview started with some easier questions, such as the personal favorite DBD characters of each member of the team. One member mentioned Chucky, another said Nicolas Cage. There was a question about whether Glitch Trap was canonically the same as the version from Help Wanted, and it was clarified that he's not the original, but a copy created by the entity, a copy made flesh. When discussing more skins for Springtrap, a blighted skin was mentioned as an example, but not confirmed. What was confirmed is that more skins are on the way, including one that happens to be Eric Pope's favorite. I tried pressing for more on this, but I didn't want to pry too hard, well, not until the end anyway. Scott Cawthon was confirmed to be involved more than most people behavior have worked with from start to finish, personally approving every visual and writing decision. That includes details like Springtrap's missing torso color and button, and Freddy's red bow tie. Yeah, in Saw Palin's interview that Matthew did in French, he talked about like Scott being so hands-on, which makes sense because he's in the industry. He's not just a license holder that doesn't have familiarity with video games. He's obviously in the industry and has an understanding of it, and he was working basically side by side with behavior, getting approval on everything, like even like tablecloth materials and things like that, which is cool. Foxy, although absent in all forms except for a plushie, hasn't been forgotten. The team reiterated that everything has a reason. So again, that solidifies my idea that we are going to get Foxy as a killer skin in some form in the future. A survivor wasn't added because behavior wanted the experience to feel like you were the player from the original Five Nights at Freddy's games. Your survivor choice is who you are. The idea of possibly adding Josh Hutcherson as Mike Schmidt was brought up as something that could happen in the future, though nothing is currently planned or confirmed. There are also talks about a Yellow Rabbit variant with the mask. While it's something they'd like to do, technical limitations such as how licensed skins are currently locked customization-wise means it would require some adjustments and overhauls if it's ever considered, so that may not be likely to happen. I know a lot of people want to like cover up Matthew Lillard's face with the mask to complete that costume. Someone asked if the entity likes Springtrap, and the team explained that human emotions don't really apply to the entity. Then asked if it seemed like the entity just sees all killers as tools of conveniences, to which they agreed it was one good explanation for it. Matthew Lillard's involvement wasn't planned from the start. When discussing how all that came about, it was highlighted that Scott gave him a call later on in the process to ask if he'd be interested, and he absolutely was, and the rest was history from that point. That's a pretty cool detail to find out. There's no confirmation or any plans at this point for any FNaF charms in Dead by Daylight. Where's my exotic butters? When talking about the possibility of other FNaF, you know what the little plushies would be? Like the plushies that you see of Foxy. If you had mini plushies of everybody, those would be cool charms too. When talking about the possibility of other FNaF-inspired maps like Fazbear Frights, the team said they're really happy with the one they've created. While the original Five Nights at Freddy's game and movie served as inspiration, the final design is meant to be the entity's interpretation of that world. And one developer said they'd love to see an extract of the Pizzaplex as the next Five Nights at Freddy's Dead by Daylight map. Okay, this section gets a little off track of any Five Nights at Freddy's talk, but we'll go through it anyway here. Behavior were also asked what originally inspired them to create Dead by Daylight, and one answer mentioned a playable concept made by someone on the team where someone has to complete puzzles and escape while being hunted down by another. This led to the idea of bringing all the horror movie killers together into one game. Before that, Behavior primarily made games for other studios, not their own. Someone asked whether the Huntress was based on any real-world folktales, and Behavior confirmed that she's entirely original. STP was brought up, and it was confirmed that it will never cross over with Dead by Daylight due to its specific Creative Commons license. The team were asked about their familiarity with Five Nights at Freddy's before the crossover, and some said they knew it personally. Others mentioned they had lived it vicariously through their children, and when asked about their favorite animatronics, a few were mentioned, including Foxy. It all comes back to Foxy. All right. Another question that came up was asking the team who would be chosen as the killer if not Springtrap, and the team agreed that it would be the Mimic. We're going to return to this point here. We then went on to discussing indie icons, or generally iconic characters that the team would personally love to see in Dead by Daylight, and between them they included Fatal Frame, Inscription, Tekken, Faith, and Jaws. Happy 50th anniversary, Jaws. The subject of the Yellow Rabbit's unique voice lines for Nicolas Cage, Eric Pope admitted that some of the team didn't even realize those were in the game until the update went live and others discovered it for themselves. Eric liked to imagine that it was done as a nice surprise for him, and when asked if more unique character-specific interaction lines might appear in the future, it seemed to be likely. Behavior are actively exploring new ideas for voice content. This is something I might go ahead and make a video about, because there are a ton of voice lines in the files that are marked as celebrity voice lines for Matthew Lillard. Too many to be simply just for Nicolas Cage. So I'm going to explore the possibility that we might be getting more celebrities in DBD in the future in another video. Someone also asked whether there were any Easter eggs left undiscovered in the Five Nights at Freddy's map, including the ones hidden out of bounds, and the team felt confident that players had found them all. That's interesting to know. I thought maybe there would be something that hadn't been discovered yet, like the noise when touching Freddy's nose, like something in the map like that. But I do have another video on the channel, which I'll probably link here, showing you all of the secrets, especially the reclusive Mr. Cupcake, Carl the Cupcake, how to find him. I'll link that at the end of the video. When asked if they want to do another FNaF chapter and introduce the Mimic, they obviously couldn't confirm anything, but they said they'd absolutely love to, and it's very likely to happen. That's wild. I'm not entirely surprised about that. Let's finish this and then we'll circle back to that point. To finish off with less than a minute left to spare, I once again asked if we could get just one tiny hint about the upcoming Springtrap skin. With a quick no from Matt and a quick I tried my best from me, that brought the Q&A to an end, and I thanked everybody for their time. We all agreed we'd love to do another one in the future, and next time we'll 100% make sure it's recorded and that contingencies are put in place for any technical difficulties. I may be missing some little details here and there, but I think I've covered the most important parts of the Q&A. I know Adam was upset. I asked him if there was a recording, and he confirmed that the recording got botched, and he's very upset about it. So you can see that here he reiterates that if it happens again, he's going to make sure that they lock it down and get the recording next time. And I appreciate him putting this together from memory and as a transcription of what occurred. Now, with Five Nights at Freddy's being the most requested license for Dead by Daylight of all time, and then once it arrived, it became the record breaker for Dead by Daylight with the most players they had ever seen on the game before, according to the Steam charts. It only makes sense that this would be considered a resounding success and that they would want to continue the relationship with Scott Cawthon for future content. Similar to how when we had the first Resident Evil chapter with Nemesis, that was the previous record holder, that was a great success, and then a year later, they wound up releasing the second Resident Evil chapter with Albert Wesker, the mastermind. I think there's a high likelihood or possibility that they could be fast-tracking a second Five Nights at Freddy's chapter with the Mimic. So according to the wiki, the Mimic is a prototype endoskeleton that can adapt to any costume and become any character, including what you fear most. There are a few different skin examples shown here of the Mimic: 1979, Jackie, Dolly, Party Time Chica, Burn Trap. A lot of people believe that Burn Trap is the Mimic. I'm not sure that's confirmed. Glitch Trap. This is cool. And then Helpy. Couple versions of Helpy here. So it would be interesting to see all these skins if the Mimic did come into Dead by Daylight, and presumably their power would be mimicry. And Saw Palin talked to Matthew about this in his interview that he did in French. Hang on, let me see if I can find that for you. Okay, this is Saw Palin's interview here, where they talk about a character who can mimic others. So here we go. Let's see. So we thought about the famous killer who turns into a survivor. No, but the Mimic, you know, the person who takes on the appearance of one of the survivors and then never knows if the others are the real ones or not. It's a concept that's super interesting. It's a concept that has been considered many times over the past 10 years. It's also a concept that's very, very difficult to balance so that it's fun for both sides, for everyone. Maybe in a fashion form. I don't know when it's going to come out, but I feel like it's inevitable that it will. It will happen one day. All right. Sorry, I had that on half speed because I can't read it. The French translation, I can't read it fast enough. So now this could just be talking about like maybe an Among Us style thing where everyone is a Dwight and nobody knows who is the evil Dwight, that kind of a thing. Or it could be talking about the Mimic coming in the future and being able to look like all of the survivors and you don't know who is the Mimic, right? Either way, whatever's coming, it sounds fun. But in this transcription of the Discord conversation here, and remember that Adam said he only put in what he was very concrete on because he didn't want any misinformation. He makes it sound like it's inevitable. When asked if they'd want to do another FNaF chapter and introduce the Mimic, they obviously couldn't confirm anything. They said they'd absolutely love to. It's very likely to happen. So that last bit, it's very likely to happen, is like a whoa moment, like really. So it seems all but confirmed that we might be getting a Mimic chapter in the future. And it makes sense, again, given the success that the Five Nights at Freddy's chapter has brought to Dead by Daylight so far. I'm sure they would only love to build on that, but stay tuned. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I wanted to share that bit with you, and let me know what you think about the Mimic. Would you want more Five Nights at Freddy's content? Do you have enough Five Nights at Freddy's content? Let me know. in the comments below. As always, I appreciate the time you spend here with me on my channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel a ton. Don't forget to take care of each other in and out of the fog. We'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
It's a Gen Rush life for us. It's a Gen Rush life for us. Set a hiding, we do gens. Set a randoms, we got friends. It's a Gen Rush life.